Welcome to the Oh Hell No podcast, where Kay Nicole delivers a daily dose of inspiration by discussing passion, purpose, and struggle with people who are living their best life doing what they love. Here's Nicole.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Oh Hell No podcast. So today I'm doing something super fun. I'm having a live podcast, not live in terms of live on air, but I'm having it in person. That's a better phrase, in person. So my guest is Kesha Franklin. She is an interior designer, an entrepreneur, a mom, a wife, all of these great things. Thank you so much for being here, Kesha.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Yes. So Kesha owns Halden Interiors. It's an interior design studio, and she does fabulous work. I've been following her page online, and I'm so excited to talk to her about her journey. So are you ready, Kesha?
I'm ready.
Okay. So what do you remember doing as a child that you see in your work today?
So you just said that, and I immediately got transported to my bedroom as a kid. And I used to have this canopy that hung at the foot of my bed. It was like in the ceiling, kind of catty-cornered, and it had teddy bears in it. It was a canopy that I would put teddy bears. And I was always like reorganizing this thing. The more teddy bears I got, sometimes I've had, the big ones in the back and little ones, or sometimes I'd kind of color coordinate them. And so no one's ever asked a question like that. That's good. But I guess what I would say is just being meticulous. Yeah. Borderline a little OCD maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, I've always been that kid. In addition to that, I would always change my room in the seasons. Like I would change it around. Even as a kid, like 11, 12 years old, I would change it. When it was summertime, I would move the hutch over next to the door and put a chair at the window. And when the winter, I would put the hutch in front of the window. Yeah, I remember that. My mother'd be like, stop dragging that damn thing, But yeah, I would say that.
Oh my gosh. And before we started, I forgot to talk about your Caribbean connection because I love bigging up my Caribbean people. So please tell us your island.
Belize. My mother and father are born and was raised in Belize. And even though I was born here, I am a Belizean.
That's right, girl. Excuse me. All right.
Yes, a true Belizean gal.
Right. All right. So when you went to college, what was your major?
I was a biology major, and I minored in art. I was so sure and clear that I was going to be an obstetrician.
Wow.
That's what I wanted to do. I majored in biology. And so I thought that was the career path for me, but I guess I won't say unfortunately, it changed. Yeah, the creative side of me kind of took over, which was always there because, like I said, I minored in art.
Right.
Yeah.
You see that? Mm-hmm. Okay. So how did your career goals change between graduating college and entering the real world? Like, what would you say was that moment that things changed and you went in another direction?
Well, funny enough, I actually didn't graduate from college. I did the 2 years, and I actually had my beautiful daughter, and that's what kind of made things change.
Okay.
But I would say, truthfully, at that point in time, I didn't know. My focus at the time, just having to take care of my responsibilities. I had to be a mom. And, I had to go out there and work. And so my first, real job was working at 9 West and, kind of transitioned into the financial world. And so I was working for a funding firm for many years. And then after that, just always had a creative hand in things. Always was the one who my family members would call to make the souvenirs. Us islanders, they got you hot gluing bows on something and some dove. It's always something. It's always something. So I was that girl. But I would say from that, actually, I had a really successful career in event planning. I was doing events. Mm-hmm.
But again, your creative side is coming out.
For sure.
Wow. Okay. So what put you on the path to interior design? And how did you know that this was something that you could turn into a business?
So in 2003, my husband, I should say, who is in the music industry, had gotten some inside information that the Barclays Center was coming to Brooklyn.
Okay.
And of course, if you think about the math, I think Barclays actually came about, I can't remember, it was at 2010 or 2009. I mean, it was years. So there was a lot of time. So we knew about this very early on. And there was an opportunity that someone had approached us, my husband and I, to open up a bar lounge and a restaurant that was probably about 3 blocks away from where the Barclays is currently. And because of my event background, his music connection, we thought, this is foolproof. Like, of course, we're in. And so, had partners, some silent investors, along with some of our own money. We set out to get this thing done. He kind of put most of it on me, feeling like, all right, Kesha, this is your thing, I'll support from the sidelines. And so I went ahead. And honestly, make a long story short, I was way in over my head. I didn't know really what I was doing. We had taken over a 4-story building.
Wow.
So this was going to be like a private event space. The ground floor had a restaurant called Joya. That was the name. It was Asian Fusion. And then the upper 3 floors were just like this private club. Very, very, like you had to have a membership. That was going to be the whole vibe of it. And so I set out to get this thing done, which included hiring an architect because we had an elevator. I mean, there was like a lot of things that we needed, filing and paperwork and whatever. So I hired this architect named Shanad Bodner, and we set out to create a design for the space. And all along, I'm doing my thing. Fast forward, 3 years go by. It's 2006, and we have not still opened doors.
Oh, my God.
But this building is pretty much built out. Like, we invested a lot into it. And finally, I had to bring in a partner. And when he came in, he really kind of shed some much needed light. And he was like, Kesha, this is a money hole. He was like, you got to walk away from this thing, because at that point, what we needed to then really get it open, it just seemed like it was just a waste.
Right.
So we decided the best thing to do was to walk away, which was heart-wrenching. I mean, I was like depressed. You're talking about 3 years of blood, sweat, and tears, and some serious financial investment. So the day comes, I need to kind of square off with everyone. And so I go to Manhattan, go to Shanad's, the architect's office, and I walk in there and I'm just like, hey, Shanad, here's your final check. We're wrapping up, everything. And he pulls up the design on his computer screen and he says, and I want to say Shanad was like from Russia. I think he was Russian. And he said, have you ever thought about interior design? And I was like, me? I was like, no. And he was like, look, he says, I wish I could take all the credit. He said, you really knew what you wanted. You knew you had a good eye. He said, you understood the scale. He said, I was very, very impressed. He says, I feel like I can't even take credit for the work. I was just here to execute, but this is your design. And so for the first time, I was looking at this screen and looking at the design as a spectator. I was in it. So I'm looking at the plans all the time, tweaking, but I never was able to take a second and really admire it, I guess. And so I was like, wow. But still, I'm licking my wounds at the time. I'm all like, oh, God, I can't believe this isn't happening. And so, you know, that moment went on. He actually printed out, had a beautiful folder for me, and he gave it to me as a parting and said, here. And so, which I still have actually 2 copies of it to this day. That lounge was actually going to be called Beautiful. So that was the name of the lounge. And so I went home and probably sulked, lost about 10 pounds, depressed, seriously depressed. And then about 6 months, my husband was like, all right, enough is enough. He said, you know, I've been thinking about what you said, Shanad said to you. He said, I think you have what it takes, Kesha. I think you should look into it. He's like, look at our house. People are always asking you for opinions. You know, at that point, I was slutting out home goods, you know, every time I could get a chance. You know, I mean, you name it, I was doing it. And so in many ways, I was kind of already, you know, having that bug and didn't really know to translate it. Because, you know, as islanders, they're like, you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or the nerd or something. Right, that's it. Or in the finance, you're going to work at somebody's bank. And so even though my father was an amazing artist and I can draw, you know, my daughter is an amazing artist as well. You know, creativity was always in the family. It wasn't something we saw or knew could be materialize into a career or could take care of you. So it wasn't anything I could ever dream of entertaining. But to answer the end part of your question, I actually took a stab at it and I started doing friends, you know, living room. I'm bringing accessories over here. And funny enough, everybody was kind of like, oh yeah, that's what you're doing. Of course. You know, it
made sense to them.
It made complete sense to them, which was encouraging to me to get that kind of feedback from everyone. And so I just started doing the work. And at this time, I'm still doing my event work. And so I was doing huge corporate events for like the Thurgood Marshall College Fund and Jackie Robinson Foundation. And one of the directors at the Thurgood Marshall College Fund actually kind of overheard that this is what I was doing. And he had gotten a studio apartment. And he said, Kesha, I want you to do it. Now, this was the first time it was someone that was not the friend or the family member. So I was like, are you serious? His name is Jamal. And so Jamal was like, yeah, yeah, of course. He's like, tell me what you need. Like, let's do this. And so that was the first person who paid me. Now, keep in mind, this is 2009. I don't know what to charge. I don't know what to do. I think I may have made $750. It was like crazy.
But still, you probably were like, oh my God.
Yes, somebody's actually paying me to do this. And I think the budget overall to do his whole studio was like $2,300. It was like crazy. I think he had like a $3,000 budget, which included my fee, and I spent the bulk on the materials.
Right.
So that was when I thought, wow, you know, and it was great. Like, I transformed this tiny little space and gave him a bedroom, a eating area. We had a little office area, the living room. I mean, and he was blown away.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And we actually videotaped it. I still have video of that. And in the video at the end, he was like, I am sure that years from now, the beautiful experience is going to be like a household name or something, he said. And so it's interesting to see the years later where my career has gone. So
yes, that is an amazing story. First of all, I love the divine intervention, right? This man came into your life not to open a bar lounge. He came into your life to push you into your current, you know, career. You know what I mean? And that's what I love about talking to people and their journey and their experiences, because it's like what's to be is gonna happen, of course. You know, even though you don't see it coming. So I just love that story.
And just to piggyback that really quickly, you know, when I have sat and really looked at it, people would say, but 3 years? Like, oh my gosh. But you know what? I was managing like an 18-man crew. I learned how to toughen up through that process. There was so many lessons that are applicable now to what I do and have. I mean, I was doing way more than what I should have ever been doing with that lack of knowledge. And so it was like I went into like a crash business
right,
course.
like a boot camp. You were in training for your own business and didn't even know it.
I did not know it, but everything was definitely is now applied to what I do. Yeah,
that is insane. I love it. So when starting your business, when you finally said, okay, I'm going to do this, I know I can make money off of this, and, you know, you got yourself going, what would you say was the most challenging part of just like getting everything together?
Charging.
Okay.
Understanding my worth, which I still
struggle
with.
Yeah.
The charging, like, what do you charge? You know, I didn't know. And the business was very intimidating. Now I know of many African-American designers, but then I didn't know. I didn't know the industry. I didn't know who to turn to. Social media was not big like it is now, so I wasn't really able to reach out. And so I was in a shell. I was in a bubble and, you know, really undercharging. Again, because of my little OCD, I was probably over delivering and really undercharging, which is even worse, right?
Yeah.
Because you're putting like your best foot forward. You're so passionate about something. And that's like a question I get a lot from people. It's just like, I don't know what to charge. I'm just starting out. And it really is a challenge. But one of the things I realize and that I do give in response to those questions about the entrepreneur who's just starting out is that you got to have a portfolio. So in the beginning is the time actually to take that short, right? That's the time to give those freebies away, because part of, I guess, getting paid your worth is also being able to show what that worth looks
right.
like.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with, I think, like you said, first you were doing little projects here and there for family and friends, and then you had your first project, it was like $700, but you were building that portfolio and building your name. So I think that makes perfect sense. So I was going to ask you, now that you have been in business for a number of years, what are the issues that keep you up at night?
I think managing clients' expectations. In the beginning, that was first and foremost, as far as over-pleasing, wanting to over-deliver, especially because I didn't have a degree in interior design. I didn't really have the knowledge and the background. I felt like part of making myself come across as experienced and as an interior designer, I just wanted to overplease, right? But you lose out on that. I've come to learn that saying no is very important. And so that sometimes cannot quite fit with managing clients' expectations because they don't want to be told no.
Right.
And excuse me, also creating the timeline that works for me. And that's not about it being about me, but just that it works for me in how I can be most effective at the job you've hired me to do. When I'm going by whatever the client is doing, I learned that I made mistakes because I knew good and well that this wasn't going to get delivered in this time. I knew that this was too soon or that this wouldn't work. And so I think the thing that I would say is still the challenge, because the one thing that is forever changing, right? You can become an expert in your job, in your field. You could know exactly what to do, how to do it, is the person that you're doing it for. That's the changing component all the time, right? So it is, okay, what do I need to do with this client, this personality, in order to now make this work and have them have a great experience and also allow me to do my job effectively, and also truthfully allow me to have a great experience. I want to have a good experience too. As an entrepreneur, that's why we're doing it, right? Otherwise I'd be miserable at a desk. But that's not why I'm doing this and investing. So I want it to be a good experience for me too.
Absolutely. Yes. I'm an IT project manager during the day, honey, and managing those client expectations.
Yes.
Okay.
It can be challenging.
Yes. So what do you enjoy the most about what you do?
So it's funny you're asking this question because, as you know, and I can share, I just left a reveal. I closed on a project today, and handed it over to the client. Did the whole, coming in, surprise, flowers, pillows are fluffed, and it was amazing. My client, actually, who is a gentleman, cried like 3 times, right? So it was super emotional. But that is what's most rewarding. I mean, like any other job or process, it has its ups and downs. And so you go through stuff and you're like, oh my God, I can't wait for this to be over. I can't wait to get through this. But then when you get to this moment where you see how you're impacting, like I'm impacting people's lives. I know that I made a shift in his life today. He said it. It was clear. It was obvious. And so that's the most rewarding. Like, I can't put a number on that. I really, really can't. The amounts of time that he looked at me and thanked me, even before we walked into the house, it was like I was like, Tony, we got to walk, like, come on, it's cold. And he was just like, I just need a minute. He's like, give me a second. He's like, I just got to thank you, Kesha. I got to thank you. And I'm like, you didn't see it yet, But I mean, come on, like to feel that energy from him was just like, wow, Kesha, like, it doesn't get better than that.
Yes, that has to be a beautiful feeling. And to know that a little piece of you will be there with him for his lifetime, and it's something that you created that he will enjoy, for a long time. So that's a beautiful thing too. So what is your least favorite task?
I hate dealing with the numbers. So again, going back to the beginning of not knowing what to charge and just being intimidated by the money conversation, right? So that's the part. If I could like move away from that, and I now have an amazing, office manager who used to be my day-to-day assistant, who's with me now for 7 years, and I have a day-to-day assistant as well. They kind of take over some of that for me, so it's not really so much of a challenge, but it's still, if I had to say, I still got to oversee it. I still got to look at it and approve certain things. So I would say the money conversation.
I know.
I wish I was like uber rich and just do it for free. Right?
I know, right? I hate money conversations are always the worst. I feel like money conversations are hard for people who have to charge for their fee.
Yes.
And also when you have to go to somebody, like the other day, I was like looking for marketing help with one of my little businesses, and I ain't got no money to be spending like that. Okay, let's just keep it 100. So I'm going out there and saying, okay, well, how much you charge for this? With my little non-existent budget, right?
You want to help a sister out.
Right. But I never want to ask anyone to compromise, anything, because I know that your time is money, and what you can do, there should be a charge for it,
For sure.
But
at the same respecting the person, that's great.
Right. But at the same time, you want to be honest about where you are and what you can afford and not afford. So she sent me the quote, and I'm like, okay.
How many zeros are in that thing?
Exactly. So I'm like, girl, I'm gonna need a minute. I'm gonna need about 6 months. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just awkward for me. It's awkward for her, I'm sure. It's just money. Ugh,
so you understand.
I do. So in your line of business, what is the toughest customer issue to resolve?
The lead time. Beautiful things take time.
Isn't that the truth?
A rose takes time. And, we live in, I want it now, can I have it yesterday? You know, that kind of thing. So I think that is the biggest part, is getting them to turn the clock off.
Right.
And just look and focus on having the best end result. Because if you can give the time, you can get the best end result.
Yeah.
I think you save money with time. I think you save mistakes and headaches with time. When you want to rush the process, that's when challenges arise. And also disappointment. Right?
Girl.
Because, but everybody wants it fast, quick, and easy. And so I would say that's the real customer kind of, conversation I'm always having.
Oh
with
my God.
clients.
I feel like we're like at the same job here. Like, I'm telling you. Even in IT, it's the same thing. Time.
I need your time.
Oh, yeah. God. So you gave us a little bit of advice. So I was going to say, for people who are interested in getting into this line of work, what would you tell them about getting started?
First, be passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, do not believe the hype on HGTV.
Girl.
That is not interior design. That is not the world of interior design. I was just sharing this with my assistant the other day, and I told her, I said, you know, I would say 15 to 20% is the designing of the project, and then probably the remaining 60 to 70% is the work. It's the process. It's following up with orders. It's paperwork. It is, you know, troubleshooting things, putting fires out, managing budgets. It's the desk job. You're at the desk. And then that end portion is like what I just did today. It's actually then putting all those pieces together, which comes together within no time. Once the stuff's delivered, you put it in place and you kind of already know, you know, where things are going and what you want the end result to be. So it is, it's really trying to figure out how to understand that this is not, it's work.
Right. It might look fun.
Right.
Like, oh my God, I want to be
so beautiful.
Right.
So be passionate about it, because the passion is what's going to get you through those parts that you were like, oh, I didn't realize it was all of this.
Right.
Right. And so if you're not clear about what you're entering into and understanding that it is a business, then quickly you're going to get burnt out. You're going to hate it. And you're going to be trying to figure out how to do something else. I would say, secondly, you know, have something to show, to express what it is that you can do. Right. So whether it, you know, you may not have an apartment or a room to show, but there you could put a storyboard together online. There's a lot of like different programs where you could actually put together little color schemes or room schemes and say, hey, this is my point of view. This is how I see interior design. And I think that is a helpful thing to just start to be able, because when you go to someone, you're taking their money and you're coming into their home. It's two major personal things, right? So you can't just be like, I really like to do this. Like, okay.
And think because you put rhinestones on stuff that you know
what you're doing. No. You got to be able to show something. And I would say that would be kind of like the first starting point. And then, you know, getting into the business of it is something totally different. Totally different.
Yes. And that is a great segue into my next question, because I was going to say, right now, everybody's on the entrepreneur train. You know, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur because it's the new buzz thing and, you know, whatever. But what advice would you give to people about starting their own interior design studio as opposed to working with someone? So like, I'm new. I think I could be good at, you know, doing interior design, but I'm going to start my own studio because that's what Kesha's doing and she's killing it. So what would you say, Kesha?
Take a second.
Oh, okay.
Take a second. Yeah. Take a second. Right. Because again, when I started to do this, it wasn't something I set out to do. I was not looking to be the entrepreneur, right? This kind of, you know, was kind of a little match was lit. Someone saw something and I tried it out. That's what happened. But I want to say probably 2 years in, then all of a sudden it was like, okay, you need to make this a business. I had to, you know, certify my business. I had to get, you know, resale certificate. There was a lot to go into that. And really, outside of that, that's all the formalities. To really answer your question, you have to be dedicated. You have to be committed. You have to have some tough skin, which I'm still working on the tough skin part. Yeah. But this is not for the faint of heart. It is not for everyone. Just because you think you can do something does not mean that it's what you should be doing, right? And I don't knock going to work for someone to learn. I tried.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any credentials, and probably a little different now. I think the industry is probably more favorable in hiring people if they see that they have some talent. But when I was trying to get into the industry, it was like, well, do you have a degree? That was the first thing I came up against.
Wow.
So no one would take me seriously. So for me, it was, okay, if I want to do this, I felt like I really didn't have a choice but to start my own firm, right?
Yeah.
And I probably would have wanted to work for someone first, to kind of learn, really get the behind the scenes, but that wasn't what was my path. But I think now people have options. I think you can go both ways. But again, that dedication, I don't care. If you come to my house and you ring my bell at 9:00, I am dressed. My hair is done. I have blush on. I don't do a whole face, but I will have blush.
That's
on
right.
My cheeks.
Beat them cheeks.
Okay, I beat the cheeks. And that office light is on.
Yep.
And, you know, it is, you're never going to find me in my pajamas, ever. So it really is about having a level of discipline if you want to be able to really be successful as an entrepreneur, whatever it is that you're choosing to do.
Yeah, it's no joke. No joke. Entrepreneurs work harder than anybody.
Yes, it is not the easy way out. Trust me.
All right. So is there anything that you want to do professionally that fear is keeping you from doing?
So here's my thing about fear. I'm going to say this loud. Wow, I've never said it loud. So why is this so hard? Okay, so I do everything in fear.
Okay. Yeah.
And that sounds so whack.
No, it doesn't, because if you're doing it, you're doing it.
Yes.
And I think that is the fear is like the thing that keeps you like going. You know what I mean? It's like the adrenaline that pushes you through.
I think why I struggle with it is because I am a God-fearing woman. I have been saved and born again since 2004. It is a huge part of my life and my journey. And so sometimes I feel like God is like, you know, you're a child of God. Like, you know, this kingdom is yours. It's your inheritance to have. And, you know, I go to church and I listen to my pastor, and it's just like, part of it is that I'm supposed to walk in this thing. I'm supposed to own it. And I don't. Even after all these years, it is a struggle for me. I really do everything in fear. However, what you said is true. I do it in spite of.
Yes.
I do it in spite of. And it has almost become kind of like, all right, Kesha, you know, let's walk through this fire. You're right. It's like there's a little bit of fuel behind it. It's like, all right, we're going to do this. You come on, you got this. You got this. And I amp myself up to go through it. But I would say, as far as where I am in my career right now, what may be giving me some fears is that I'm growing again. Yeah, I feel it. I feel another growth spurt. I always know when it's coming around. 2014 was the last one for me.
Wow.
So it's now 6 years. And I feel it. So this year has been amazing. I have had an amazing year. I really have. I'm like grinning right now.
That's awesome.
Because it's been an amazing year. But, you know, life is ebbs and flows. I feel like 2020 is going to be a tough year because it's going to be a growing year again for me. I feel like I'm going to have a rough 2020.
Yeah.
But it means that I'm stretching.
Yep.
I'm stretching.
And that's always good, right? Because we don't want to stay in the same place. So it's all good.
For sure.
Yes, girl. I love it. Think about all the people that are afraid and don't do it because of the fear. It's crippling to them. So for us, we're afraid, because I feel the same way. Like, I'm nervous about doing stuff all the time, even this podcast. You know what I mean? Oh, God.
But how many episodes are we in
now?
how
many episodes, right? So it's the same thing. I totally get it.
Yeah.
So this is a funny question because we were just talking about this. I wanted to ask you, would you ever consider doing a reality show that would show the inner workings of your professional life?
You know, I was one of, like I said, the HGTV junkie. And so I actually have like 5 videos where a friend of mine who was starting a production company, shot full-on videos of my reveals. Like,
Wow.
I mean, they look like we could plug them into HGTV right now. So that was my whole thing. And I spent money and time on it. And, you know, I just knew that I was going to be that brown girl on HGTV killing it. But now, because my clientele has changed, and also with this growth, I want to service the luxury high-end market. I don't feel it appropriate for that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more at stake, bigger projects, more notable clients who their privacy is super important to them.
Yeah.
I just don't think that it's fitting anymore. So I've kind of moved away from wanting to show all that behind the scenes. And that's why actually I don't do a lot of that. I have other fellow designers who I love because they'll do their,
Insta stories,
Insta stories and whatever of all like the craziness that's going on. And yeah, it doesn't work for my clientele. So,
got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. So how do you define success?
Well, for me, my success is my family.
Aw.
Yeah.
I love when people say that.
Yeah, it really isn't my business. I am going to be married 20 years next July.
Yes,
I'm actually planning a wedding.
What?
We're renewing our vows.
Girl, I just did that.
I know.
Yes,
And it's so exciting. I'm like super excited.
Yeah.
I'm wearing 2 dresses.
I can't.
So yeah, I was like all hype about it. But yeah, so that is a huge success for me. And then, I have a 26-year-old daughter and my son's 20 years old. And
Amazing.
They are, I'm just, when I look at them and the amazing young woman and young man that they have become, I just feel like, wow, Kesha, you did that. You and your hubby did that. And so that's the success for me. And funny, it's what we instill in them to look at as success also. Family and just, being good individuals and giving back. And that's really what's important at the end of the day. And I say this to them all the time, when my funeral, that to me is what I want them to talk about. I don't want a long list of like accreditations. Like, oh, she did this and she did that and she was this. And, I want people to really be like, my mom was amazing. There wasn't a time that she didn't say, I asked her to pick me up from the train station that she didn't come. Just the simple little things that I truly feel my family will say about me. So that's my success.
I love that. Yes, I really do. So what do you sacrifice to do what you love?
My time. And let me rephrase that. That's what I used to sacrifice.
Okay.
My time. Why I said I had such a fabulous 2019 is because my New Year's resolution for 2019 was that I was going to really instill some self-care. And a part of that self-care was taking little pockets of time to kind of rejuvenate, clear my mind, prepare myself for those, kind of really, where I'm humping it for 4 to 5 months straight.
Yeah.
Before I wasn't doing that. I would literally be stressed out to get on a plane to go somewhere. And so I think in 3 weeks I will be on my 6th or 7th little vacation for this year.
I am so jelly. Okay. That is what I love.
I mean, and they have been from a weekend in DC to a week long in the Bahamas, going to Martha's Vineyard. I'm in the Hamptons, just got back from Mexico, going to Dubai in 3 weeks.
Girl, you better stop playing. What? I love that.
Yeah. And you know what? It's because I set some boundaries with my work and I prepared. I was like, you know what? This wasn't as hard as I thought it was.
Yeah.
If I, again, set those expectations, it's like when you start a new job and you're like, yes, I'm very interested. I'd like the job. But just so you know, I have this wedding that I'm committed to or my mom's 60th birthday. And you put those dates out there. And so your new employer knows that, okay, she can't work these days and this is what it is if they really want to hire you.
Yes.
Well, that's what I started doing when I would get a new client. New clients coming in. Well, just so you know, we can start this, but I already have this trip scheduled, and they're like, oh, okay, fine. Oh my God, have a great time.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that's
was
all
that
I needed
easy.
to do. It was that easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say it was sacrificing time, and now I have learned how to conquer that.
Good. And you will keep that up, right?
Yes.
That is good. I love it. See, because I am not a full-time entrepreneur, I got days, and my days are always in the negative because I like to go take vacations.
That's right. That's right.
So,
good for you.
Right.
It helps. It really helps.
I'm praying for a position where I have unlimited vacation days. So, girl, say a prayer for me.
Yes. No, I will.
So, what other passions are you interested in pursuing?
Well, anyone who knows me knows that if I were to be something other than an interior designer, I'd be a dancer. But I got some jacked up knees. I got arthritis on the knees, girl.
Me too.
But, oh my God, I love to dance. I told my husband, I said, when on my tombstone, his nickname for me is Beloved. And so I'm going to say, Beloved mother, she always loved to dance. Beloved mother, wife, daughter, and friend. Like literally, I have it all out. Right. I was like, you got to put that I love to dance on that thing. So yeah, I'm passionate about dancing. But outside of that, a passion of mine is that I want to either design or even to stretch that passion a little higher, own my own boutique hotel.
Wow.
That's what I want.
That is nice.
That's what I see.
Yeah. Girl, it's possible.
Yes,
it's possible. So do you feel like you are doing your purpose work? If yes, what is it specifically? If not, then, have you figured out what your purpose work is?
So I used to think that my purpose was tied to what you do as a career. And just in doing what I do, I've learned that's not so. And also my pastor has clarified that that's not what that is. Now,
Correct.
For some it is.
Right.
For some, what they do for a living is tied to their purpose. What is kind of becoming more apparent to me, I like to talk. So that has been a thing. I have been asked to speak on a couple of panels. I love to share. I enjoy being vulnerable. It's actually been what has helped me kind of own who I am and where I am, is just telling the truth. Like, yeah, I'm good, I'm not good, this sucks, this is great. And just being truly transparent. And so I think people, when they see that in you, then they're able to welcome you. They're able to receive you as who you are. Yes. And then you don't have to put up a front, right?
Yep.
Because the front is a lot of work.
Yeah, girl.
So I like to share that part of me. And whenever I go on a panel, the response that I get from people afterwards, I mean, people are like, can we talk? I want to talk. And I'm like, wow, Kesha, the sharing is I think that's a part of my purpose. I'm not sure where God is going to lead it, or how it's going to get tied to. If it's about sharing in business, is it about sharing in love? Because I have a lot to share with that too, just as my journey in being married for 20 years. I got married, I was only 25, so I have being a young mom. I mean, there's so many areas in my life. So I'm not sure where he's going to lead me, but I do feel like a part of my purpose is maybe even being like a speaker.
Yes.
I feel like a motivational speaker in some ways, and I'm really embracing that.
Oh my God, that's so exciting. I love that. Yes, because a lot of people do that, and I don't see anything wrong with it. I think that you should follow that passion, girl.
Yeah, which is so huge for me because I'm more shy, truthfully, and I get super nervous when it's time to speak. I was actually nervous to do this with you today.
That's so cute.
But once I get going,
yeah,
it really comes from the heart. So it's like it just flows.
Yes.
And so I think that's what kind of turned that little switch on. I was like, wow, okay, Kesha, this is super easy for you, how this thing just kind of comes. And so I was like, okay, if it's coming through in that way, then God's going to use it.
Right.
So we'll see what he does.
Yes, I can't wait to see what he does. I love it. So what do you want your clients to remember about working with Halden Interiors?
The attention to detail, the care. I tell my clients when I start a project, I'm like, your home is mine until I give it back. And I do treat it as if it's my own home. So I would say, yeah, the attention to detail, the care, the professionalism also. Even though I have come to have some really great relationships with some of my clients outside and beyond the work relationship, I don't care how connected we may feel, how cool it is. During that time, I am a professional. Because I respect that they have chosen me.
Right.
They could not. There are a lot of interior designers out there who are great, who are better than me. And so they didn't have to choose me. So being a professional is the utmost important thing to me. So I would say, yeah, I would say being a professional.
Okay. So if you could write the future, what 3 things would you like to accomplish next year?
I would want my clientele, as far as the income bracket of my clientele, to triple.
Okay.
I want it to triple. And I want my confidence to increase. I'd like that to triple. That could actually quadruple. Because I think that helps take care of some other things. And I would want to start gaining some real serious knowledge about the hospitality industry and in interior designing, because like I said, my goal is to do this this hotel. I'd like to, like I said, even to be a designer who's brought in to work with a developer on something, or then to figure out maybe, you know, if there's a way I could get the support to do something on my own. And one other, I want to say maybe smaller, because those are really bigger things, but something I think that is probably truly achievable if I just kind of wrap my brain around it. I'd like to do a little bit of product. Some Halden Interiors, candles and diffusers.
I see a place for you, honey. I see it.
Oh, awesome.
Listen, okay.
So, yeah, I see some product coming for the business. And, so I would add that to the 2020 to-do list.
That's right. Now, let me just tell you, this podcast is small, but it's powerful, girl. So you just spoke that stuff into your future. Yes, some things are going to happen next year. Watch and see.
All right, awesome. Awesome.
So share an Oh Hell No moment with us, because this is the Oh Hell No podcast, that has taught you something or changed your perspective on something.
Oh, there are a few. You know, I would say being taken advantage of. When you are kind and giving, it is a trap. You end up in there really, really quick, where people see that and sniff it out and try to get over. And so there's been some moments where that has happened, I would say personally and professionally. And that for me right now is the oh hell no. Okay. I have come to really start to understand my value.
Yes.
You know, even though I may not always be able to put a money on, you know, a price tag on it, or be able to kind of define it, I know who I am and I know what I give. When I show up, I'm always bringing something to the table.
That's
right. You're trying to devalue me is where it is like, okay, yeah, I'm out.
Right.
Like, I will give you back your money. I don't want your job. We're good.
Yep.
It's all good.
That's right.
Because if you don't value what I'm bringing to the table, then there's no need for me to be here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're not thirsty, so you're not drinking from every
not at
girl.
all.
Okay. Let's just be clear. Okay. Well, Kesha, it was such a pleasure talking to you today. I'm glad that we finally got together. Guys, this is like a year in the making, okay? She is booked and busy.
And blessed.
Yes, and blessed. So please tell us how we can reach out to Halden Interiors and, get in touch with you if we have some work for you or,
So you can go, I have a website, www.haldeninteriors.com, and that is HALDEN, interiors with an S. And if you want to send me an email, you can send it to info@haldeninteriors.com. And that's just a good place because, yes, I am pretty busy, but it goes to both of my assistants. And so one way or another, they're going to say, Kesha, you got this email from this person, and I do respond. So I know a lot of people, will send stuff out and won't hear back from someone. It doesn't matter. And a week at the most would be the longest, because sometimes some weeks like this one where I had this reveal was shut down.
Right.
But I will get back to you and, answer your questions or reach out. So, yeah, info@haldeninteriors.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe and rate the show.